Hello, my name is Trevor Galbraith. I'm from Global S&T and Packaging Magazine, and today I'm joined by Thomas Bleem, who's the chairman of the Hermes Standard.
Hello, Trevor. How are you doing?
Good. Nice to see you. Nice to see you in China. And
very good.
Let's talk a little bit about the Hermes Standard because it's had a phenomenal introduction. You know, you literally only started just over a year ago with a meeting in Germany where you had 16 participants in it. By the time we got to Productronica, you had 28, and I believe you're now up to 40 here in China.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. We had our third meeting yesterday here in China, in Shanghai. Day before NEPCON, it was hosted by Kuyong this time. So yes. Kuyong invited, arranged everything, and more companies are now coming in. The community is growing and going from 16, 28, 40, maybe next time 50 in Apex, San Diego. It's amazing how big the attraction is and how many customers are asking for that, and that's very cool.
Yeah, as you say, it's amazing that the speed at how it's been introduced, but also the number of people taking part. As it gets bigger, is it more difficult to manage, or how does it work? Do all 40 of these customers, they have an input obviously into how the standard is developed?
We have a forum, we have a web forum, which is the base for all the communication. So this is quite efficient. If you see a blog in the internet, how people is communicating there, sharing their ideas, this is what we do for Hermes as well. So we use a web forum, and companies can bring their creativity in there, and then there is a discussion, and sometimes they meet offline. This we had for 7 companies now. They had some topics for the ovens. They wanted to rearrange, to simplify the processes and to bring it into the Hermes world. This is what they did, and now they proposed a lot of extensions to this standard again.
Right. So this is all the oven companies have sort of got together to create their own plugin or mini standard that will become part of the Hermes standard.
It's not a mini standard. It's just the extension of the standard. If you add this kind of commando sequence, if you do this and that, then we can simplify the board handling at the oven outlet. Okay. And it's what is good to see beside the forum where some communication takes place. Also, previous competitors are now working together to do something which is bigger than their individual solutions. And this really shows the openness which is now created. And they all understand we cannot develop interfaces all the time. We have to develop features because this is what the customer wants to see. Not the same adoption again and again and again. That's boring.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see how they're all coming together. And of course, as they come together, you're going to get a whole mix of ideas coming through with that from all these different members. That's really exciting. Now, I believe you've actually got the first version of Hermes in operation.
You heard of that already?
I heard of it already. Somebody told me about it. So maybe you can tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, this was an important task for Arena, Netherlands. They wanted to be the first real running Hermes line in the world. So they did the installation last week. So machines are in place now and production is going to start.
Excellent.
So, and this is pretty exciting that customer has a clear vision to say, if I do this, they have a new factory built up. And now they really want to start from scratch with Hermes. And more field tests are now coming up. We have 2 more field tests, one in China, one in EMEA going on already. These are only field tests for sections of the line. And nearly every few days I have a meeting about how can I adopt Hermes into my factory, how can we go on, what is implementation plans, and the mass adoption is just starting. You can really see.
Yeah, you can see the inertia building. But I mean, you've had a lot of uptake from the supplier side of the business. What about the EMS side and the contract manufacturers? Are you seeing a lot of people coming, showing interest from that side?
Most interest is coming from EMS companies because they can simplify what they do. They want to have traceability, but they cannot spend all the money for barcode readers and things like that. And this is what Hermes can give them. They also want to do automatic product changeover, things like that in the future. They see that Hermes is the best backbone for that, and so this can be a baseline for them. On the other hand, automotive companies, traceability again, similar topics but on a different level, and now also interest is coming from network infrastructure, China, so everywhere.
It's growing in so many different ways. Yeah. Now, just to be clear, members that join the Hermes standard, what they get is essentially a set of documentation that they work to. and you get a test driver. Is that essentially how it works?
So the Hermes Standard Initiative, this group is creating a Hermes specification. Now we are talking about version 1.1 after this meeting. This means it's continually expanding.
Yeah.
The standard can be amended. This means you don't have to implement the latest state. You can also stay on version 1. Then you have a core feature set, or you go for later versions. You can do both. And what we provide as a group is documentation, test driver, creativity, ideas, common sharing, things like that.
Great.
It's beyond documentation. It's more a feeling of we are the industry, we are working together, and now we can do more for our customers.
Excellent. Now, this whole initiative started out, as I said, just over a year ago. You and Florian Ritter from ASUS were the two key proponents of it at the time, and you are actually the chairman of the Hermes standard at the moment. How long is that term going to run, and how does that going to operate within the group?
This is only how it started. In the end, what Florian and I did, in the end belongs to the past. Good that we have done so.
Yeah.
It's now a group which is acting, and this is good.
Okay.
You can see that all are contributing. Next meeting in Apex, somebody offered to me yesterday, you can do it in my backyard, where my company is located.
Yeah.
If you do it in Europe, I will host it. So you can see how much everybody wants to bring in.
Everybody wants to contribute to it.
And yesterday Manny said, I will do a presentation, I will send you around, I share my ideas, then we can discuss in the next meeting. So starting is very important. You need a seed for everything,
right.
But at some point you have to forget the seed and you have to see the plant.
Great. Yeah. Now, just finally, Thomas, off camera we talked about some vertical extensions that you're building towards other standards. Earlier this year at Apex, it was clear that Hermes was working closely with the CFX and everything was integrating nicely there. Can you expand upon what's happening there?
Yeah, we had very good discussions with the CFX guys. CFX can be a next big standard, but there are many other standards out there as well. There's OML, there's XGEM, there's SEMI, and so on. And so if you have a horizontal layer, in the end this horizontal layer needs to have some data inputs, some data outputs, and this is where we need a bit connectivity for the Hermes standard in addition, in order to connect easier to the higher level standards, or to the vertical standards. And therefore I think we will have vertical extensions here. This is simplifying again the life of the different vendors, because they do not have to implement for a simple board handling, CFX, SEMI, blah, 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 all what I just mentioned. They just do the vertical extension, and then an adoption can be done much easier.
This, for example, to MES systems or for
ITEC yesterday was on also one point, so it's easier also then connect to for some functionalities to ITEC. Not everybody needs to implement the ITEC interface, because then you can somehow disconnect from what somebody else is doing. And then you can focus more on your core business, and this is what we should do. We should not implement again and again.
Of course.
Proprietary solutions.
Yeah. Well, it's really exciting to see everything that's happening at the Hermes standard, and I have to congratulate you on the work you've done so far. Thank you for joining us today, Thomas.
Very cool. Thank you for the interview, Trevor.